Good evening and thanks for watching the news with me, George Misinde. First, the headlines. Democratic Progressive Party described the 2021-2022 national budget Finance Minister Felix Mlusu presented in Parliament as unrealistic. Bitter lessons for Malawi following the expulsion of its diplomats from South Africa. And the Minister of Agriculture secures 150,000 metric tons of fertilizer ahead of the 2021 Affordable Input Program. We have these plus many other stories. Please do stay with us. The Democratic Progressive Party has described the 2021-2022 national budget Finance Minister Felix Mlusu presented in Parliament as unrealistic. The former ruling party's spokesperson on finance, Joseph Mwanamveka, also says the national budget is consumptive and debt-ridden. Mwanamveka made the remarks in Parliament on Monday when he was responding to the budget. Taonga Sabola explains.
Members of Parliament on Monday started deliberating the 2021-2022 national budget, which was presented in the House on May 28 by Finance Minister Felix Mlusu. First to comment on the budget was Joseph Mwanamveka, who is spokesperson for the DPP on matters of finance, and he said the budget is based on very wrong assumptions. This is what Mwanamveka said during an interview.
I will summarize the budget as unrealistic, a budget that is debt-ridden because there's too much debt in there, and also a budget that cannot be implemented. That's what I can say, as I said in the budget.
Thank you.
And it's a budget that doesn't give hope to Malawians.
Also commenting on the budget on Monday afternoon was UDF spokesperson on financial matters, Ishmael Nkumba, who said things are not very well on the ground, saying Malawians have very high expectations from the budget. After deliberating the budget, the House is expected to go into Committee of Supply, where members of Parliament are expected to pass the budget vote by vote.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Elsenhauer Mkaka, says the government has drawn lessons from the expulsions of its diplomats in South Africa. Mkaka has told journalists in Lilongwe the government will strictly consider integrity when making diplomatic appointments. Mkaka also says Malawi has deployed temporary staff to South Africa to maintain operations at its foreign mission in Pretoria.
So currently what we are trying to do is to facilitate the movement of the people from South Africa. I think that is the first thing that we are doing. Now, what happens when they come here, I think is another story, because as I indicated, we will be looking at the relevant laws to make sure that whatever we do is covered by law. Because what has just happened has taught us some lessons that we need people of high integrity that will represent this country well.
The government of South Africa expelled diplomats from several African countries, including Malawi and Lesotho, following revelations they were buying large quantities of alcohol tax-free, reselling them. The Ministry of Agriculture has secured 150,000 metric tons of fertilizer ahead of the 2021 Affordable Input Program. Officials say this will prevent some challenges the program faced last year. Wezi Gause has the details.
The AIP had challenges with network when processing farmers' national identity cards, underweight fertilizers, and lack of fertilizers in hard-to-reach areas. Spokesperson in the Ministry of Agriculture, Gracia Lungu, says to help people residing in hard-to-reach areas, the government has already contracted ADMAC and smallholder farmers fertilizer revolving fund of Malawi to help in selling AIP materials. He says currently each institution has received 75,000 metric tons of fertilizers.
So what I've been doing is to firstly empower ADMAC and small order fertilizer revolving fund of Malawi, whereby we have given them 150,000 metric tons, which they are going to divide in 75,000 to 12,000 metric tons to make sure that they stock in their shops in hard-to-reach areas, so that farmers in those areas, they should just buy these inputs in their nearest areas.
Executive Director of Civil Society Agriculture Network, Sisanet Pamela Kwali, says she needed to gather more facts before commenting on the issue.
Civil Society Education Coalition says Malawi requires 83,000 extra teachers to achieve the 1:40 teacher-pupil ratio in its primary schools. According to the organization, the standards were set in government's National Education Sector Plan. Government was set to finalize the plan by 2019, but the deadline was extended to 2022 owing to slow progress. Matthews Kasanda has more in this report.
CISEC expresses doubts if the plan can be achieved by 2022, which is next year. CISEC Executive Director Benedicto Gondowe says the 1:40 ratio is not being achieved due to two reasons. One being that the government is failing to absorb the teachers that finish their studies in teachers training colleges. He has cited the lack of adequate infrastructure in schools as another reason. Kondowe has therefore suggested that the government should fast-track the construction of low-cost classroom blocks and recruit teachers who have finished their studies in teachers training colleges.
So you have teachers already available, but it takes maybe a year or so before they can absorb into the system. And I think that has to be addressed. The best way to address this is to synchronize the two, the teacher training program and the financial planning, so that by the time they finish, they are automatically absorbed into the system. And I think that is critical. We should already start financially a plan, knowing that at such a time, these student teachers will graduate, so that by the time they graduate, they are automatically absorbed into the system.
Minister of Education spokesperson Chikondi Chimala asked for more time before commenting on the matter.
Classes have been suspended at HHI Mission Secondary School in Blantyre following a misunderstanding between students and management. Secretary for Education at Blantyre Synod, Moses Kasitomo, has confirmed the development. Kasitomo says the students were not happy with a disciplinary action against one of the students. A statement the school has released advises parents and guardians to immediately pick their children from the school.
The academy.
Failure by parents to promote a reading culture among children has led to dwindling standards of education in the country. Management of Mzuzu International Academy has since encouraged parents to support and develop a reading culture among learners. Bernard Muhone has more in this report, read by Sam Kalimira.
The Academy's president, Anam Soya Keys, said parents and guardians need to adequately support their wards with books and other extra-curriculum materials such as newspaper and magazines, which can help them to broaden up their knowledge. She made the remarks at graduation ceremony for reception Standard 6 and 2021 International General Certificate of Education candidates for the academy. Keys said learners whose parents were providing them with the necessary learning materials have excelled in their studies without struggles amid COVID-19 pandemic.
This generation performs well when parents are involved. I know that Mzuzu International Academy is an international curriculum, but that's not all. I think the parents at home, they have to support their children. When these kids, if their parents are not in the room, they are very low. When they just see their parents, their performance goes up, and I think the need for us Malawian mothers and fathers to get involved in our children's education is very, very important.
On her part, chairperson of the board of directors of Zuzu Academy, Loveness Kaunda, advised parents and guardians to take a leading role in supporting their teachers to be able to offer quality education.
I'm very worried about reading, especially these days with technology. Students tend to read bite-sized things, and it's only when you read much that you improve your language, you improve your speaking, you see how other people write, and you remember more. So reading is central to everyone's success.
Meanwhile, class president for the graduating Standard 6 learners, David Nyirenda, has encouraged his fellow students to work hard if they are to recover lessons they missed during COVID-19 pandemic breaks. Schools closed for over 6 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Deputy Chief Secretary Janet Banda has led civil servants in receiving the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at Capitol Hill in Lilongwe. President Lazarus Chakwera launched the second phase of the AstraZeneca vaccine after receiving his second jab on June 4. Wezi Gausi is in Lilongwe.
Banda says they are getting reports from the World Health Organizations that some neighboring countries are reporting increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases. She says everyone needs to take part in the control and prevention of diseases such as COVID-19.
The main message is to encourage them that these jabs, the doses, are very safe and are also very effective in controlling, combating COVID-19. So the message is to just encourage them, especially those who are still reluctant after now, that they need to bring themselves forward and take the jab to protect others that they are working with, they are staying with. It's very important for everybody.
Secretary for Health Charles Mansambo says the vaccination of the civil servants will encourage people to get the second dose. The vaccinations are voluntary and are being done in phases. In the initial vaccination phase, the government was targeting 20% of the population, which include the frontline health workers and public servants.
We will be back shortly after this break.
Do your gums hurt?
Yeah.
Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
All that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.
Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
The summer of soccer is here, and becoming a Premier Bet soccer hero is all about making the right selections. It's time to trust your natural instincts, to believe in yourself, be brave. Because there's the Premier Bet jackpot of $100,000 for the taking. So never give up. Bet now and receive up to a 250% winning bonus. Premier Bet Soccer Hero. It's all in the selections.
Welcome back. Experts are reviewing the intergovernmental fiscal transfer formula in Blantyre. Government uses the formula to fund local councils. Thomas Kajere reports.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, Esme Kainja, said the meeting is vital as it will give a platform to stakeholders to discuss and come up with a recommended up-to-date formula on how the councils should be funded. Kainja said the role of the ministry is to ensure there is enough policy to provide direction and to set systems and structures.
The Ministry of Local Government, its main role is to ensure that there is enough policy to provide direction and to set systems and structures. So the meeting that has brought us to Amaryllis Hotel is to discuss with the local authorities and also the National Local Government Finance Committee, which is the granting authority to the councils, to discuss and to have an interface on how resources, how councils should be financed.
Director of Finance for National Local Government Finance Committee, Kondwani Sante, said with the initial formula, the councils were facing numerous challenges.
This formula was last developed and approved in 2002. That's 20 years now. Over the years, there have been several changes. One, if you look at the populations, they have changed populations. Land area, it has changed as well, because previously we had 24 districts, but now we have 28 districts.
District Commissioner for Kasungu, James Kanyangalazi, said there is hope that once the review is done and adopted, positive changes will be attained.
It is just right and proper that we are here to review the formula and see how best we can incorporate in it some of the changes that have taken place so far.
Among others in attendance are representatives from Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Finance and district councils.
Family Planning Association of Malawi, FIPAM, is promoting uptake of sexual reproductive health services among students in tertiary learning institutions. Recently, officials from the association engaged students at Mzuzu University on sexual reproductive health rights. Project coordinator Jime Kachali says the reception has so far been good.
Prior to 2019, there was a very big gap with regards to access to information, especially SRHR information. So when we trained the peer educators and they got back into their respective institutions to do their work, the reception has really been good, because young people have attested from the different colleges that they did not know some of the mere information that you would assume one would know. For example, proper condom use, myths and misconceptions surrounding SRHR. So the reception has really been good, and from the mentorship meetings they could actually attest, based on the work plans that they've been implementing, that young people have really been well informed and are making informed choices.
15 Christians have successfully completed Bible training at Eagles Vision Bible School under the Evangelical Missionary Church. The ceremony took place at the church's headquarters in Chigumula, Blantyre. One of the lecturers at the institution, Pastor Lifton Sikwea, said it is important for churches to have Christians who are conversant with Bible teachings.
Well, my expectation is that once they go back in their various churches, they will be able to rightly divide the word of God, but also to continue expanding the kingdom of God through preaching the word. It is very important, because there is a lot of false preachers who are arising nowadays, and if you don't know the word of God, you can easily be wooed away from the false teachings. This training is basically for training lay people who will be able, as I said, to divide the word of God, to understand the word of God, be able to present it to the people just like that.
One of the graduates, Lexa Nkonya, says the training has equipped her to serve the Lord.
This training, to be honest, it has helped me so much. And to be honest, before I came here, I was knowing nothing, but now I know a lot. I can say, like, at the beginning, I didn't know that God, you can hear the voice of God. But now I know that God is talking to us, and I can even hear the voice of the God. We have learned a lot, like demonology, how to cast out the demons, and the calling, and church planting, how we can plant the church, and homiletics, how we can preach. It's a lot.
In international news, Ivory Coast was the first country in the world to start vaccinating through the COVAX initiative. But putting the shots in the arms of people has not gone without a hitch. VOA correspondent Mariama Diallo checks on how the country's vaccination effort is going on 3 months after the start of the campaign.
The first doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine arrived in Ivory Coast in late February. By March 1st, the country started vaccinating, an effort made possible by the COVAX scheme, a program co-led by the World Health Organization, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. UNICEF oversees procurement and delivery. Kwaku Epa is an immunization specialist with UNICEF in Ivory Coast.
What COVAX is doing is to make sure the vaccines are available in quantity and quality to help countries attain herd immunity, stop the disease, and if possible, go back to the normal lives we knew before.
So far, the country has used the more than 500,000 doses delivered through the program. Additionally, it was able to secure more vaccines from other nations, including India and France, bringing the total doses to nearly 730,000. The vaccination rollout didn't take place without challenges. However, the country's head of public hygiene says the average Ivorian went through 3 stages in their thinking about the vaccine.
Le premier état, c'est l'état de dire je refuse, je veux pas la vaccination.
In the beginning, most people didn't want to take the vaccine because there was some fake news in social media that the vaccine was going to go through an experimental phase on Africans first. People were very reluctant. After that, we went through a second phase, where people were a bit hesitant. And the third phase, where people were engaged and wanted to take the vaccine when they saw that people who got vaccinated were not showing any major side effects.
Another hurdle came during the AstraZeneca vaccine rollout when many countries suspended its use for a time over concerns of possible blood clots. As of June 9th, the Ivory Coast has over 47,500 COVID cases, with more than 600 deaths, and has vaccinated nearly 607,000 people, according to the country's Ministry of Health and Public Hygiene.
De vaccination, qui était le parc des sports.
We went from one vaccination center at the Palais du Sport Arena in the beginning to now more than over 400 centers across the country. Additionally, we have a dozen mobile units to get closer to the population.
Here at the City Hall of Abobo, a neighborhood in Abidjan, people gather to get vaccinated. Yao Serge Jesu is the Deputy Director of Communication at the Health Ministry.
So in areas where there aren't many hospitals, these mobile vaccination units are there to fill the void. It also helps to get closer to the communities.
Red Cross volunteer Yapochiri Ignace Achi explains the process from registration to getting the shot.
This is where the vaccination takes place.
After the patient gets the shot, Achi explains that she must wait 15 minutes to check for side effects. Meanwhile, another resident enters the truck and receives the shot as well. Here is how they both reacted after getting the vaccine.
I came to get vaccinated to protect myself and others, and I wasn't scared.
I came in around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, waited a little, but the most important thing is that I was able to get vaccinated.
Many Ivorians, however, still say they will not get the shot.
No, I will not take the vaccine because I'm afraid that it might be dangerous for my health, so I will not do it.
I don't know anyone close to me who died from the virus, so I don't think the coronavirus exists in Côte d'Ivoire.
Meanwhile, like many countries, the Ivory Coast is offering incentives for people to get vaccinated, like free tickets to the recent soccer match between the Ivorian national team and Burkina Faso.
We just asked all the fans to get vaccinated, and with their vaccination card, they get to see the match for free. It's a concept we just started, and people have been responsive.
As vaccination campaigns continue in the Ivory Coast and other parts of the continent, attitudes toward the vaccine continue to vary. Meanwhile, Ivorian health officials say that in addition to providing vaccines, they'll keep testing for the virus, a task that is also key to controlling the pandemic. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
That's the news for now, but before we go, the headlines again. Democratic Progressive Party describes the 2021-2022 national budget Finance Minister Felix Mlusu presented in Parliament as unrealistic. Bitter lessons for Malawi following the expulsion of its diplomats from South Africa. And the Ministry of Agriculture secures 150,000 metric tons of fertilizer ahead of the 2021 Affordable Input Program. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times360 Malawi, and following us on Twitter at Times360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please stay safe. You've been with me, George Misinde.
Good evening, it's time for the weather report, and you're with me, Gary Samati. Expect very cold conditions with fog patches to persist over Malawi. This is due to the influence of an inland high pressure area which is suppressing cloud development. Advisory: due to a drop in temperatures, the general public is advised to wear warm clothing such as coats, jackets, hats, scarves, and gloves to stay warm. In Chire Valley, expect generally cold conditions tonight and in the morning. Partly sunny during the afternoon. In Southern Highlands, expect very cold conditions with patches of fog tonight and in the morning. Partly sunny conditions in the afternoon. In central areas, expect very cold weather with patches of fog tonight and in the morning. Partly sunny in the afternoon. In lakeshore areas, expect cold conditions tonight and in the morning. Partly cloudy in the afternoon. And in northern areas, expect very cold conditions with fog patches tonight and in the morning. Cool conditions are expected in the afternoon. Forecast temperatures. Ngabu, a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius. Blantyre, a minimum of 12 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. Lilongwe, a minimum of 7 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. Mangoji, a minimum of 14 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. And in Zuzu, a minimum of 5 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 19 degrees Celsius. Wind will be southeasterly. Expect cold conditions on Wednesday. Let's now conclude with the times for sunrise and sunset for tomorrow, 15 June 2021. In Zuzu, the sun will rise at 2 minutes past 6 and will set at 27 minutes past 5. In Lilongwe, the sun will rise at 7 minutes past 6 and will set at 24 minutes past 5. And in Blantyre, the sun will rise at 5 minutes past 6 and will set at 15 minutes past 5. That's the weather forecast. I'm Gary Samaji. Have a lovely evening.